And joining me now is Democratic presidential candidate Martin O'Malley, who abolished the death penalty in Maryland 2 years ago. Governor, thanks for joining us. When Pope Francis spoke to Congress, he called for the global abolition of the death penalty. As someone who ended the death penalty in Maryland, who led that charge, how do you explain it to the survivors of heinous crimes who want justice, who want the murderers put to death by the state?
Yeah, very, very tough. Before I left office, I met with the survivors of our death row inmates before commuting their sentences. This is the best I can do in terms of explaining it, not only to survivors, but to all of us. And it is that the death penalty is not a deterrent. It does not work. It is expensive, it is flawed, and it cuts against some of the basic principles upon which our republic is founded, namely a belief in the dignity of every person's life. And so that's why I'm opposed to the death penalty, and I applaud the Pope for his courageous call to Congress. I think we need to do the things that work and stop doing things that don't.
As a Catholic Democrat, you just talked about life and every life mattering. How do you personally grapple with the issue of abortion?
Well, this was an issue, of course, in my own household, growing up Catholic, and it's one that of course, I think every thinking person has to grapple with on a personal level, on a moral level, and also on a legal level when one is sworn to uphold the laws of our country. I am pro-choice. Having said that, I also believe that there are some issues that government's just no good at making for individuals. Among those decisions, the decisions made between women and their doctors. And so, but I do believe that all of us can make a lot of strides as a country in reducing infant mortality and eradicating childhood hunger. And that's the common good, and that's the work we focus on, even as we leave to the individual conscience some of these other decisions that government's just no good at doing.
Let's turn to the presidential race. Former President Bill Clinton just sat down with CNN's Fareed Zakaria. The former president was asked for his thoughts on his wife's email controversy. Take a listen.
There are lots of people who wanted there to be a race for different reasons. And they thought the only way they could make it a race was a full-scale frontal assault on her. And so this email thing became the biggest story in the world. I actually am amazed that she's borne up under it as well as she has. But I have never seen so much expended on so little.
Do you think former President Clinton is right? Is this email story much ado about nothing?
Well, President Clinton loves his wife, and the two of them have gone through a lot together. I believe that there are a lot of legitimate questions still to be answered about this particular controversy of the email server, the FBI investigation, and the like, which is why it's so important that as Democrats we start having debates about other issues as well. I'm not saying there aren't legitimate questions to be asked and answered here by Secretary Clinton and her lawyers, but for our part as a party, we need to talk about the things that will actually get wages to go up rather than down. The issues that people care about around their kitchen tables, like affordable college, and how we make sure that Social Security is strong and is there for the future. How we move America forward to a clean energy future. How we step up in the world and respond to the refugee crisis in Syria. That's why we need to have debates. Otherwise, our party is being defined by Hillary Clinton's email scandal, and it's not good for our party and it's not good for our country.
You had some other tough words for Hillary Clinton this week when she announced that she was going to oppose the Keystone XL pipeline. You said, quote, on issue after issue, Secretary Clinton has not forged public opinion. You seem to be suggesting Hillary Clinton has her finger in the wind.
I believe that the sort of leadership that actually moves a nation, moves a state, moves a city forward is leadership that states principles and doesn't wait for focus groups. On the Keystone Pipeline, Jake, I came out against the Keystone Pipeline over a year ago. Why? Because I believe it's contrary to our nation's best interest of moving forward to a clean energy future. And that's what real leadership is about. That's the sort of new leadership people are looking for, not the sort of leadership that waits for poll numbers or for focus groups or puts a finger to the wind to see which way public consensus is going. No, that's not leadership.